Emotion tonight. Last Sunday, he was talking to our anchor last Sunday. Why's that name? Jeff, thank you, Vallon. I called on Greg. Greg was quiet, but he's redeeming himself tonight. Jeff Vallon, sorry, my friend, got a lot on my mind. The coronavirus pandemic has raised new concerns about heart health in athletes, but sudden cardiac arrest has long been the #1 killer of athletes under the age of 20. For the last month now, our Mia O'Brien has been investigating and talking to families who've been affected by this epidemic. Tonight, she has the faces of sudden death, sudden cardiac arrest.
They definitely think it's weird that, I died and now I'm, alive again.
It's been almost 6 months since Julia Bossett went into sudden cardiac arrest at basketball tryouts.
You always kind of think something like that would never happen to your kid. And we've met some people, we met a couple the other night that their son didn't come back and he didn't make it. And I've met a lot of families online too that they've had more than one child die of sudden cardiac arrest.
It's the #1 killer of children, yet no one's talking about it.
I've been in medicine for 22 years. I'm a PA. I've personally done probably 1,500, 2,000 school sports physicals on kids. And I had no idea about any of this stuff until that night when they life flighted Lexi to Orlando.
Lexi Sema, Matt Cobb.
I didn't really know how common it was until I looked at the Who We Play For website, and it said 1 in 300 kids have potential risk of going into sudden cardiac arrest.
Niger Poyser.
I really thought this was I'm literally the only person in Jacksonville with this.
These are the faces of sudden cardiac arrest.
I mean, we're hearing about a lot of the Florida cases, and it just seems like Florida's kind of blowing up with it right now, but the reality is it's happening everywhere.
More than 7,000 young people will go into sudden cardiac arrest each year in the United States. 90% do not survive. Of the ones who do make it, only a few dozen will return to a normal life.
It happens 20, 25 times a day in our country, but it's so scattered and spread out. Or a kid goes to bed and dies in his sleep, and you never hear about it.
But now, the families of other sudden cardiac arrest victims are stepping up to the plate.
We're just a part of a family that's, the Semas and, Evan and Who We Play For. We're a part of that family that's been around for a lot longer than we have.
From the Cobbs to the Bossetts, they've taken the initiative to reach out to others in this heart fraternity.
I don't ever want a family to feel like I felt with my daughter. And anytime, and God bless Lori, because she did the same thing for this beautiful family here in Baker County. And we're all in contact. And that's what I want. We're not alone. This is not something that happens 1 in a million.
Making sudden cardiac arrest a rarity, not the norm. That's the goal.
The mission that we're on with what we're doing is the percentage of the people that don't make it. I get emotional every time I'm talking about it too, because it's like 1 in 10 make this. It's not right.
So they've taken their fight to the state capitol.
Next up is Joe Cobb.
My perfectly healthy 20-year-old son, baseball player, collapsed in front of me at work.
My son, Michael Jr., died of cardiac arrest at the age of 12.
I'm a kid that stood by my teammate at Cocoa Beach High School and didn't know CPR as he died of cardiac arrest.
Part of our hashtag is law, not luck, because it shouldn't depend on a guy just learning CPR to save Lexi.
That's part 1 of Senate Bill 280 and House Bill 157, mandating a 1-hour hands-only CPR course for graduating high school seniors in the state of Florida. Working with state officials, SEMA proposed such a law in 2018. Lawmakers signed off, but only after changing the wording from mandated to encouraged.
For the life of me, do not understand how something like this is not mandatory in schools. because it's going to save lives. It is 100% going to save lives, and it's going to increase that percentage.
We do a fire drill once a month in Florida schools. It's mandated. The last time a kid died in the U.S. in a school fire was 1958. So they're working. But the number one thing that'll kill anybody on campus is sudden cardiac arrest, Mia. And we don't do one drill.
Adding to all of this, Florida is one of 48 states that doesn't require student athletes have heart screenings.
When included the standard physical, it takes the physical from about 1 to 4% effective detecting heart conditions to about 90 to 95%. So miles better. Other countries do this. In Italy, every kid gets an ECG every year. And in their country, they reduce cardiac death by 90%.
The average cost of an EKG screening? $20, leading parents to question why their kids aren't being screened.
And to know that in Duval County, there was $5 million spent on plexiglass for the COVID, but we're worried about $20 for a kid's life. It's very, very frustrating.
The strategy, I believe, shouldn't be aimed at preventing these kids from playing sports, but it really should be aimed at letting them play in a safe environment.
Julia Bossett was one of the lucky ones. Her assistant basketball coach is also her school's resource officer.
If Officer Lee had not been there that day, was there anybody else in the gym that could have provided CPR? Maybe there was, I don't know, but maybe there wouldn't have been, you know. There were a lot of children in there that didn't know CPR, so they're seeing their best friend, you know, collapse and die on the gym floor, and they don't know what to do to save her.
I didn't know what was going to happen to Julia. You didn't know whether you did enough.
If that's how you felt as someone who is CPR certified, what does that do for the thousands and millions of people who are not, do you think?
Most people would just stay there and call 911 and wait for some trained medical person to come, but we all could do something.
A 1-hour mandatory CPR class, EKG screenings. These are all tangible steps towards that safer tomorrow.
We've had a run here in Florida. Kids dropping, Keontae Johnson at Florida. And I think this year we have a big enough posse with us from all over the state of parents who are like us or who don't have their children, who are ready to raise the roof and try to make this happen.
You hear these stories from these people on the pain and how this, in so many cases, can be prevented. And once you see behind the curtain, as you know, Mia, it's hard to turn the other way.
Because the faces of sudden cardiac arrest don't look too unlike our own. Mia O'Brien, First Coast Sports.
This week's Athlete of the Week plays on one of the area's best baseball teams. You'll meet Jackson Mayo next. This is Sports Final.